The Yakuza refers to organised crime groups in Japan. While being associated with tattoos, extortion and self-amputation, there's so much more beneath the surface of these organisations. I'm Jun from Japan Junkie, and today we're revealing 10 amazing facts about the Yakuza. Number 10. The name Yakuza is based on the Japanese words for 8, 9 and 3 and originates from a card game. Just like blackjack or baccarat, the aim of the game is to reach 19 without surpassing it, making 8, 9 and 3 the unluckiest hand you can get in the game, the equivalent of getting 22 in blackjack. And the name implies that they're just bad luck. The Japanese media, police and many citizens don't even use the word Yakuza. The police requested that they be referred to as Boryokudan, or violent groups. Though you shouldn't go using this word with a Yakuza member. It could be considered offensive, similar to calling them a degenerate. They refer to themselves as Ninkyo Dantai, or chivalrous organisations. It represents their perspective of being anti-heroes, like Robin Hood. Citizens avoid saying the word in public and either talk about it discreetly or use a cheek-slicing gesture with their fingers when referring to them. Number 9. When people think of Yakuza, they often think of Yubitsume. But do you know what it has to do with Bob the Builder? Yubitsume, meaning finger shortening, is a traditional ritual in which a member of the organisation cuts off their own finger and presents it to their boss as a symbol of apology or atonement for a mistake. This act is meant to serve as both a form of punishment and a demonstration of the individual's sincerity and commitment to the group. But it also may be a way of avoiding harsher punishment such as death or banishment. Yubitsume is considered a highly symbolic and serious act, and it's not performed lightly. The little finger is typically the first to be cut off as it's less necessary for day-to-day activities. It also has historical significance, as the amputation of the pinky finger was thought to affect the person's ability to properly grip a katana, which would in turn affect their ability to defend themselves and increase their dependence on the Yakuza family. If you keep making mistakes, you lose the next joint. Further mistakes will result in the loss of the next finger. Reformed Yakuza often get pinky prosthetics to hide their criminal past. As for the link to Bob the Builder, he has an extra finger in Japanese versions of the show so that he doesn't have any association with the Yakuza. Number 8. During the Edo period, tattooing was a form of punishment for criminals. The shape and location of the tattoos correlated with the crime that was committed: thieves on the arm and murderers on the head. However, during the Meiji era, tattoos were banned by the government, and the stigma can be seen in the culture of Japan to this day. With these negative associations, it's understandable why tattoos have become a characteristic of Yakuza culture. They often depict clan or nationalistic symbols and are usually the first way that members of the public are able to distinguish Yakuza members. It's why tattoos are banned in places like hot springs and public baths. Although modern body art is largely created with machines, the traditional versions were hand-poked using ink from the indigo plant, which would make the recipient very sick. It's an incredibly long and painful process, and it's a way of proving the member's resolve and commitment. While full-body tattoos are often placed in a way that would avoid detection with daily clothing wear, many modern Yakuza members often forego tattooing altogether. Number 7. When you think of Yakuza fashion, what comes to mind? For many people, it's a sharp suit, usually with an 80s flair, sometimes sunglasses, and their hair slicked back. A lot of these stereotypes are based on perceptions of the groups during their peak years in the 80s, and also due to games and movies. Peak lapels and pinstripes seem to be synonymous with Yakuza fashion. However, in reality, members' clothing choices range from a modern suit to a more casual tracksuit. At some festivals, they can also be seen burying their body art by wearing a traditional loincloth called fundoshi. There are many factors, including status and personal preference, that could affect how Yakuza present themselves. Some people don't want to flaunt their position, and in reality, a Yakuza member could be indistinguishable from a regular citizen. Although in movies and games, the fashion is often flamboyant. Because of their style and image, there are even Yakuza fan magazines. Number 6. Like Yakuza, samurai were employed to handle disputes by way of persuasion or force. These samurai began to find themselves unemployed during times of peace in the 1800s. While some had to find honest jobs, many turned to a life of crime. Because of this, Yakuza members view themselves as the true heirs of the samurai. Some prefer the links to Ronin or masterless samurai, as well as the villagers who defended their communities from rogue Ronin or bandits. The term Bushido refers to a moral code, literally meaning way of the warrior, and it's a creed that samurai and many Yakuza members follow. The tenets of Bushido center around honor and loyalty. The Yakuza link to samurai can be seen in their use of katanas in rituals, as gifts and as decorations. In fact, in 1994, a katana was the weapon of choice in the murder of the Fuji Photo Film Company's director. His death was linked to Sokaya blackmail, which we'll talk about now. Number 5. Here's a riddle. Why do 90% of Japanese businesses hold their shareholder meetings on the same day? Sokaya is the name given to the people who specialize in a particular kind of extortion, and it's a blackmail tactic used by the Yakuza. A member would buy shares in a company as a way to attend the shareholders' meeting. They would then dig around to find any sordid information about the company and then threaten them with the shame of airing their dirty laundry unless they're paid a fee. Considering that loss of face is the worst thing that most companies could possibly endure, many companies have experienced Sokaya blackmail. It got so bad during the early 80s that the government banned companies from paying out blackmailers in 1982. So back to the riddle, why do 90% of Japanese businesses hold their shareholder meetings on the same day? It's a way of protecting themselves. There's only so many Yakuza members and they can't attend all the meetings at the same time. Number 4. Hierarchy is important in Japanese culture and it's extremely evident in Yakuza groups. Entry-level members have to work incredibly hard and it may take years to advance through the ranks. The way the structure runs is similar to the Japanese senpai-kohai system, or senior and junior. In this case, it's known as oyabun and kobun. Most members play both roles. Everyone except the family boss has an oyabun to answer to, and everyone except the entry level has a kobun to mentor. This father-son relationship works by the kobun swearing unquestioning loyalty and obedience in exchange for the protection and guidance of the oyabun. The relationship is made official through a ceremony known as sakazuki, which involves taking a drink of sake before switching and drinking from each other's cup. It's similar to a blood oath and marks the severing of family ties and the transfer of loyalty to their boss. For candidates wanting to join the biggest Yakuza family, there is a 12-page entrance exam. It tests their knowledge about crime regulations, which could help them avoid interactions with authorities. It's a way of filtering out ill-informed applicants who may cause potential problems to the organisation later on. Number 3. Yakuza groups are almost always male-only organisations. The only females that are officially acknowledged are wives of high-ranking members. They are known as ane-san, which is a way of saying older sister, but in this context feels more like madam or lady. The most famous ane-san was Fumiko, who was married to the leader of the biggest clan in Japan. After her husband's death, Fumiko became the Yakuza boss for the Yamaguchi-gumi for a short time in the early 1980s. There had never been a female clan leader and there's never been one since. The wives and girlfriends often stay out of the business and function largely behind the scenes. They act as support for their husbands and their lives often reflect that of normal housewives. Number 2. A lot of internet searches seem to be about ways to avoid Yakuza in Japan. They are, of course, regular people who can be found anywhere, but highest concentrations seem to be around bars and nightlife, pro wrestling, pachinko parlors, as well as festivals. If you're a regular person who doesn't go around causing trouble, it's unlikely you'll have any problems with the Yakuza. Like many places, and as a generalization, any Yakuza that you encounter on the street are likely to be good to good people and bad to bad people. Some people just accidentally get drawn into having problems with the Yakuza due to bad choices or bad luck. Starting fights, drinking in strange bars, or owing people money could all lead to problems. Number 1. Unlike some other criminal groups, each Yakuza family has certain rules or ethics that they live by. It may be the case that Yakuza play a necessary function in Japan. Crime in the country is very low. Foreign mafia groups and crime syndicates are virtually non-existent. This could be because of the strict rules and penalties, but it could also partially be due to the existence of the Yakuza. They help to keep crime low by having a monopoly on the crime industry. They've also offered help to Japanese citizens when needed. After the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, Yakuza moved quickly to provide aid to help many people affected. Anti-Yakuza laws have made it difficult for groups to function as they have done before, and while police and Yakuza tread a fine line of complying within each other's worlds, the truth is that Yakuza aren't actually illegal. They are, in fact, part of the delicate fabric of Japanese society. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. You can leave a comment with any suggestions you have for future videos, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.